Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Uncensored Critic podcast. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. It means the world to me. Thank you very, very much. And today we welcome along another fantastic actress who I've had the pleasure of seeing not only in person but live on stage this past week. And that, of course, is the great Gaia Mondadori. Did I say that right?
Yes, yeah. That's
Yes, yes, I got it right the first time. That makes a difference.
it.
Gaia Mondadori. So, for anyone who's not familiar with Gaia's work, let's take a moment to introduce her right now. For film, she has appeared in Red, White, and Royal Blue and the short film Ferret. For TV, Everything I Know About Love and a little known thing you might have known on Netflix called The Witcher, series 1 through to 3. For stage, she has appeared in her own show Fake It Till You Make It, which went to the Edinburgh Fringe and the Camden People Theatre. Her Very Many Faces, 1984 at the Wimbledon Theatre, The Trial by Kafka, Macbeth, Watership Down, and A Midsummer Night's Dream. All four, those last four, from The Trial to Midsummer Night's Dream, were on at the Rose Young with the Rose Young Company. And most recently, she's heading back to the Fringe Land with her own show again at the Centre of the Universe, which recently had its London previews at Theatre 503 this past weekend, which I was lucky enough to catch the second night of previews on Friday. And anyone going to the Fringe this year, you're in for one hell of a treat. So go and see Gaia's show if you can. So in the meantime, Gaia, welcome.
So kind. Thank you. Oh, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me on.
No, my pleasure, Gaia. Thank you for your time. So we start at the beginning with every guest. So in your case, where did it come from? The love of acting, writing, being in this business, where did it come from?
I think, well, yeah, you mentioned the sort of the rose. Well, I'll go back to the very beginning. So I used to want to be, when I was a kid, I used to want to be a ballerina, but I was not good enough. And I think that dream sort of kind of shifted, and there was a time when I was a young teenager, so probably 12, 13, that I started thinking, oh, actually I'd quite like to. I saw there was this young company called the Rose Young Company at the Rose Theatre in Kingston, near where I grew up and live. And I auditioned for a show there called Tess of the D'Urbervilles. And I originally got cast in the ensemble, and then sort of when I was there around all these other actors who were a bit older than me and really incredible and are very talented now as well, the director came around and was like, you can play, you're going to actually play Tess's sister. And so I had two lines, and I was so excited. And I think just from being in that rehearsal room, watching people, learning from them, and sort of feeling this family, this community atmosphere, I immediately was like, oh, this is the best thing that is possible. And from there, I sort of remember looking at the actor who was playing Tess, who's a phenomenal actor called Grace Maloney. And she was a little older than me. And I remember thinking, oh, okay, so she's playing Tess. So if I keep going to youth theatre and keep doing this, then maybe one day I'd be playing the role and blah, blah, blah. And so I really essentially got a lot of my training from this youth theatre, incredible teacher, Kieran McConville, who took the work, I think really instilled this kind of diligence and passion and respect for the craft. So I think from quite a young age, I was sort of taking it quite seriously, but also hopefully lightly. But yeah, I sort of did quite a few shows there, and it was really when I played Lucy in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe that I was like, oh, yeah, I have to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and kind of didn't really stop. But I guess I, got really lucky. I got signed from playing Lucy. And I think, it's, which was incredibly grateful for, but it is that thing of you expect to be sort of signed by a great agent, and that's not the end of the road. And so I think, I feel so grateful for the journey I've had as an actor and all the doors that haven't opened for me, because I don't think I would have ever found writing, and I don't think I would have ever had that. Well, who knows? Maybe I would have, but just in a different way. I think then it was over lockdown that I kind of was sort of like essentially losing my mind, and kind of felt so I just felt like very like, and frustrated. And so I was like, actually, in order to survive this lockdown period, but also, I guess, as an actor, I'm just not someone who can wait for the phone to ring. I really respect actors who can, because I think you have patience and I don't have that. So I think, so I was like, okay, I'd convinced myself I couldn't write. So I was like, no, I'm not a writer, but I'm going to make these short films. So I ended up writing with minimal dialogue these, and directing and editing and acting in these short films, playing multiple roles. And I did them in like upstairs in my room, and sort of would come down in lockdown and my mum would be like, what the hell? Because I'd be like in full clown makeup. And then I'd be like, okay, everyone has to make no sound for like 3 hours. And my parents were like, what the hell is going on? And those short films ended up, not that it's about the outcome, but I think because they were the first thing I'd made, not just as an actor, but as an artist, even though actors are artists, but I got some recognition from them, and it kind of gave me the push to think, oh, okay, maybe I can have an understanding of story and structure and character. And it was over lockdown that I then wrote my first feature, and that also won a few awards for things just on spec as a script. And I think from then I just didn't really stop writing or viewing. Like, I just kind of, the control I had shifted, and I think I was then in a way not just auditioning for things, but also I was like, okay, if no one else, I know what I can hopefully do, and I'm gonna have to make it myself.
Yeah, we'll come on to that self-creation stuff in just a second. But I get an image now of your mum sort of coming into your room and you're there full clown makeup, and you turn around to her and just say something like a Joker line, and you just go, why so serious? And you're like, she's like, okay, I'll leave her alone, I think. And, I'll let you write, darling. I'll let you write.
Yeah.
So we were talking before we came on. You are a Cambridge grad, Gaia.
Yeah.
How was Cambridge?
It was a really interesting experience. I think I'm incredibly grateful for the friends I've met there, and the kind of the exposure to that legacy, and what it is to also engage in a very heady way with material. I think yeah, I feel incredibly grateful for that. I also think that a lot of people say that uni is the best 3 years of their life. Personally, I didn't find it the best 3 years of my life, but it enabled me to really, do a lot of student theatre, and that was the main highlight. And that was really great. And it's got such a great student theatre scene there, and such a great community, that I feel really lucky to have been able to do that, because you're sort of like doing a play, rehearsing a play and then putting it on in a couple of weeks. And I think that speed and the material you get to look at is really amazing. And obviously the teaching is incredible. And
yeah. What did you study?
English education and the arts.
Very nice too. What degree did you get?
First.
You got first?
What you asked? Is that what you meant?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So what grade?
I thought I just suddenly said what I got, and then I was like, well, why?
No. That was the question. Don't worry. So you've done Cambridge and everything, and I've got to mention this actually before we get into your own work. You've been a part of one of the biggest Netflix shows of our time, The Witcher, of course, with Henry Cavill playing the lead. Sadly, Henry's no longer part of it. I think Liam Hemsworth is taking over the reins now, I think. A lot of people remember you from particularly the first season, where it's been a while since I've seen it, but you reenact the law of surprise in things. So that's all I'll say for anyone watching The Witcher. I won't go any further than that. But so tell me about your experience on The Witcher, because again, we were talking before we came on, that was your first ever film set experience.
Yeah.
The Witcher for Netflix. I mean, talk about a good start, right?
I honestly, I am so lucky to have been part of it and to be part of it. it's it was such an incredible experience. I think it was the whole cast was really generous in offering sort of advice and kind of just being really kind. And so I feel very grateful to them and will always remember that. And even the directing team, the creative team were just all, it was just insane. And I remember walking into the hall and the director, Alex, who's really wonderful and very special. And he sort of plays like this really epic music on the speaker. And I remember walking in and being like, oh my God, this is amazing. But yeah, it was a wild first job, really. Yeah, and I was kind of doing my A levels at the time, and so I'd kind of like go back to my trailer, study a bit, and then go on set. But it was really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how did you land that part? Because again, you did Cambridge and then you didn't go to drama school. So a lot of people sort of think you go to drama school, you meet your agent, then you start getting your job. So how did you land that part while you were still at school?
Yes. Well, I had an agent by then. I
Okay.
signed. I think I was 16 or 17. So I was auditioning at school, and yeah, just got really fortunate with that role and with that with the casting director who saw me for that, and I'm forever grateful to
Yeah.
them.
Was that Faye Timby by any chance?
It was I actually saw it's Sophie Holland team who cast it, but I remember it was sort of back in the day when it was more in person on first round.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
met Finian Tweed, who was just really lovely and kind of I think I hadn't been to that many auditions, and he um just made me feel really relaxed and kind of, yeah, ultimately believed in me. So I'm grateful to
Yeah,
him.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. No, and I've seen your work. I've seen The Witcher and everything. It's you've done an amazing job in that as well. But you had one scene in particular where you had to absolutely go for it in the camera, like a proper
Yeah.
scream. And sorry for anyone who's watching, sorry, slight spoiler, but like you do this scream, and of course it's all special effects, and the whole room, everything just levitates off the ground
Yeah.
and just goes bang right in the corner. And you got Henry Cavill being blown away and everything, and just I mean, how was shooting that scene? Like, how did you look after your voice when you're doing? Obviously, I
Oh,
hope you didn't do many takes or anything.
no, that's a good question. I think it was me. I think the main thing that I learned from shooting that scene was sort of the circles of concentration and kind of just, being on a huge set with a lot of supporting artists and sound and lots of people doing their amazing jobs. And it's just, I think I really learned of how to just kind of go within
Hmm.
in preparation for that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was really fun. It was a really meaty episode to do.
Yeah, it really was. It really was. Now, I know that we've got more series of The Witcher coming, so obviously we can't talk about that too much yet. But stay tuned, guys. Plenty more to come from the Witcher universe, and more to come from Gaia. And just before we finish this subject, I've got to ask you this question because I'm a big fan. Henry Cavill, what's he like working with him?
So, so lovely. Like just such a warm guy, really sort of had such a kind of leader energy around the set as well. And he was just very, also, I think, very curious about people and the other actors and very generous in what the advice he gave and sort of talking about his beginning. And yeah, honestly, just such a wonderful guy to work with. So I
Yeah.
feel really lucky. Yeah.
Yeah, what a guy. What a guy. I hope to work with him myself one day. I will. I will work with him one day. Anyway, so let's jump into sort of like the main sort of topic for today, which was, of course,
Yeah.
your brand new play, Center of the Universe, which, again, as I mentioned in the intro, I was lucky enough to see this past weekend. It's a brilliant, brilliant show, by the way, Guy. I
Thank
mean, yeah,
you.
it's a one-woman show, following a character called Mary who discovers like a sense of importance and self-confidence through the world of TikTok and social media in general. And that's all we'll say. We don't want to do any more spoilers in that. So if you want to know what happens next, you go and see the show, guys. So tell me about the show. I mean, obviously, I know we've just said we can't say too much about it because we want people to see it, but how did it come about?
I think so. It came about, I wrote it a little while ago, and it's obviously developed a lot since then. I always think it's really fascinating, the journey that a piece goes on from like first draft to current draft.
Yeah.
And kind of how you can't, what's it called? Predict that. And it's almost not in your control. And I think that's really magical. But I was talking too much and I forgot the question.
How did it come about, the play?
How did it come about? Yeah. Yes. Well, actually, I think so. I'd written 7 one-woman shows, but 6 of which had stayed in the drawer.
Wow.
And I'd written 2 which were exploring similar themes that I explore in Center of the Universe. But they had stayed in the drawer because they were just not quite getting at what I just feel like the core wasn't what I was trying to get at or explore. And then I had a conversation with a friend of mine who I'd sent a film script that I'd written to him, and he'd read it and gave me some notes, and I was sort of like, yeah, it's a bit crap, isn't it? And he was like, no, but he was like, I think you should write something that's funny and that's you. And I was like, yeah, I guess I am funny. And so I know it sounds ridiculous, but I literally got off the call from him and opened my laptop and I was like, and sort of really wanted to just write the thing that I can write and my story, my offering to the world. I think I heard really great director whose name I can't, Alejandro Iñárritu, talking about how the story that you can create or the story that you offer is like if you're making a chair that only you can make. And so like how weird and wonderful is that chair going to be to you, and therefore the gift that you give to the world. And I think that's always an image that I've really enjoyed to revisit. And so I think I was just sort of like really intentionally writing something that was not worried about what people will think. And that was really freeing. And I think that the form of a one woman show kind of just was perfect for the themes I'm exploring. And
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, because the play, it opens up a whole conversation about the world in this digital age which we live in now of social media. And I don't know about you, but I think my generation was the most, now that they say we're more connected now than we've ever been, but actually it's actually making us a lot more disconnected than what people actually think we are. I remember when I was in school, like the most innovative thing we could do was have Bluetooth on our phones, and we could send each other songs, and we were like, oh my God, this is incredible. Whereas now it's so different. You can send anything to anyone. But I think, but I thought this isn't a spoiler, but you tap into particularly this angle when it comes to social media, is that it gives people a lot of like self-confidence or kind of fake self-confidence in some ways, and they read all this stuff on TikTok and they believe it, and it creates a sort of a disorientation of, is it confidence or is it ego? Is it that? So what made you want to look at specifically the effects of social media and how it can do that to some people? I mean, particularly young people these days who grow up with TikTok and Instagram.
Yeah, I think that's really well. I think actually this will tie into my response, but initially it was not. So again, this isn't a spoiler, but basically, the main character Mary is sort of, I guess, is heavily influenced and guided by these messages that this woman called Gabriella posts on TikTok. But initially, Gabriella, the messages had been from a book, that Mary would open a book, which was Gabriella's memoir, Spit in the Book, and where her spit lands, that's the message.
Yeah.
And I loved that, but I think then I remember someone reading the script and saying, yeah, okay, but like that's quite hard to get into. And then sort of thinking, okay, and then it was like, it's interesting because initially I'd been kind of like, I don't want it to be TikTok. And then I think when I looked at that resistance towards that, I was like, oh, that's why, because I have to look at that. And sorry, I thought a tree had just fallen down. It's just windy. But I think it's this sort of you know, obviously there are lots of benefits to social media, and I'm not trying to point fingers or say that, you know, it's good or bad, or I think I'm just trying to lead or inspire more questions. And I think, and sort of more essentially like more awareness around how we use social media. Weirdly, I don't think it's the main theme or part of the play, but it's obviously the hot topic kind of part of the play in a way, I guess. But I think it's especially with younger generations, but it is this thing of feeling you feel less alone, yet somehow more alone because you're not with someone when you're watching someone on your phone. That's obviously not a hot take, but yeah, I just think it can be both comforting and isolating. And I think also it's this what you're saying of the kind of I think you were saying the confidence, but I think it's something that I'm really interested in exploring in general, and the stories I'm drawn to are sort of the prisons that we manage, like that we carefully create for ourselves without knowing it.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes even the cognitive biases and blind spots that we have in terms of receiving information, whether that's on TikTok or what you read or whatever, you're gonna want or need more of what you want or need.
Yeah, it's an addiction in some ways.
Exactly. Yeah, and actually, I think an addiction is a really good way to describe Mary's, or an addictive journey is a good way to describe Mary's journey.
Yeah. I don't know. Have you listened to? I've seen much of Simon Sinek at all?
No.
No,
No, rings a bell.
yeah, Simon Sinek. Yeah, he wrote a book called Start with Why or anything. Did you see that? Anyway, it did this viral clip, which funny I saw on social media actually, and it was very good. He talked about how like the science behind social media is that when you look at your phone or you get a text from someone, you release the chemical dopamine, which when you get a text, you know, you feel good. You know, and it's the same chemical that is activated when we smoke, when we drink, and when we gamble. So in other words, it's highly, highly addictive, and you can't put it away because you're addicted. You know, you can't. And he used an analogy that you know, we were talking earlier about you know, because your first audition for The Witcher was actually in person. Nowadays, it's all we live in a self-tape universe now, don't we? Whereas he uses the example of back in the day before like a business meeting, everyone would sit around the table and just chat, you know, and whereas now people go into a meeting and do this. And then the meeting starts. Like, oh yeah, okay, sorry, I'm with you now. And then you know, it's an interesting thing how, you know, things have changed a lot recently. And funny enough, I read a couple of interviews that you did recently prior to this, and one was from Theatre Weekly, which did with Greg Stewart. And I love this quote that you gave. We're in an age of competition and intense narcissism. TikTok has almost become a religion, filling this God-shaped hole within us. How did you describe that?
I'm kidding.
It's very good. It's very good.
Yeah, I think that, you know, I think that there is a God-shaped hole that, like what you said, that it could be any addictive behavior is a way to try and fill that hole. But the unfortunate thing is none of those fill the hole. And so I think then we keep going, and it's like it's almost like the more we put that in, the more the hole opens. And I think it's interesting as well, you know, obviously the play is an exploration of kind of what we worship. And I think I'm really fascinated by this connection in the fact that there is this huge rise and sort of worship of social media and influencers and sort of teachers on social media, which are obviously incredibly beneficial, but also sometimes quite cult-like, or also just not censored, or not that it should be censored, but not kind of verified with the information that they're sharing. But actually, but I think that has kind of come in tandem with quite a decrease in religion and in that community. And like, you know, that place that that people would go to worship together in person.
Yeah.
And I think, there's a really fascinating connection between the theatre as a place of worship and kind of, if we look back at the history and the origins of theatre, and that being connected to that idea of something greater than us. And I think we're losing that. And then it's interesting that it's become something tangible and something that we kind of have on us all the time. I just think there's such a connection between all of that.
Yeah, and particularly like for people who are like chronic users of it as well, because you've got people who smoke too much, or you got people who drink too much, they're alcoholics, or you got people who
Yeah.
gamble too much. There's a problem there. People going
Yeah.
to rehab for losing like several thousands of pounds in gambling
Yeah.
and stuff. It's probably stealing money from other family members just to fuel that habit and stuff like that. But that's a whole other
Yeah.
discussion. But it's an interesting area, and I think, and again, sort of, it's almost like we look at you use social media, and it's like we're not what social media actually tells us. It's like distorting like the perception of who we are.
Mm.
And sad. I'm sad to say this. It's going to be a bit of a sad sort of topic I'm going to bring up here. But unfortunately, you hear these stories of kids like early as maybe 12, 13, 14, 15, who get really, really screwed up, even to the point of suicide, but they don't get enough likes on Instagram. And it's sad that unfortunately
Yeah.
this is the case. But
Yeah. Well, I think the dangerous thing is that it flattens and conflates this like sort of ego trap that is very easy to fall into, of conflating failure or the lack of like, say, with personal value.
mhm,
And I think it makes that relationship incredibly blurry, and therefore like your sense of self and your sense of, I guess, spirit as well, and kind of like connectivity with nature, with other people.
mm.
And yeah, I think, it's pretty scary. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, but you cover a lot of topics in this play, and unfortunately we can't sort of delve too much into it. But it just reminds me of another quote from another interview you gave from a youngish perspective, which you did very, very recently. You said you were drawn to characters who have a secret, innate, and sometimes supernatural power, a power that affects them, that allows them, sorry, to transcend the loneliness and limits of their carefully crafted personal prison and mythology. And I think is that word there, personal prison, which I think really, really jumps out at me. And this is very fitting with Mary and I suppose many other people with social media addiction. So what attracts you to those type of characters?
I think, I think a few things. It's probably a question that I am trying to solve or not solve, but understand in the way that I live my life as well.
Yeah.
Of why is it that one with any form of behavior that is, that you can accidentally create a sort of way that you think an armor that you think you're protecting yourself, and then it's actually a way to or controlling things, but it's actually a way that just kind of is isolating and kind of encloses you down from actually experiencing the wonders and beauty of life. And so, as well as kind of just completely isolating you. And I think, that personal prison, that idea of a personal prison and personal mythology, I find really fascinating. Of then what happens when it doesn't hold up anymore,
Yeah.
and what happens when the narratives become old or don't serve you anymore, because they would have for a point. The prison maybe helps for a point, or you thought maybe helped. And I think that's what Mary is sort of, struggling with grief and struggling with, or living through grief and living through a journey of trying to, I think hers is a coming of age, but also a homecoming, which I would argue that it doesn't matter what age you're always coming of age, and you're always perhaps homecoming, like, like searching for home within yourself, but and as a place and with other people. And I think, yeah, I think that I'm just at the moment, that might change as I grow as an artist and as a person. But I think at the moment that, yeah, I find that those themes, and kind of also like how the supernatural kicks into that, or magical realism kicks into that as a kind of escape.
Yeah, I suppose like this is kind of a two-parter question, really. But so, what's your relationship? Well, I suppose now, right? Was it? Yeah, okay. So, what's your relationship like with social media now, and has it been affected in any way since writing this play?
Oh, interesting. Uh, I'm not on TikTok, but so I did have to research.
Yeah, I'm not TikTok either. Yeah,
Yeah, but I researched that sort of idea of the aura points. When I came across that, I was like, "That's brilliant." Well, it's
yeah,
not,
yeah,
but it's going in the play. And I talked to some friends who are teachers, and they were saying that a lot of kids in school talk about it in school. So,
yeah.
um, and yeah, for anyone listening, aura points are a sort of way, well, as the character describes it in the play, it's a way to find meaning in your life. But they're basically sort of, again, going back to this connection between social media and religion, of there's sort of these set of rules that, if you do something that's slightly embarrassing, then you lose points. But if you break up with someone and then like look really cool or whatever, then you gain points. So it's,
Really,
yeah, it's
really.
yeah. But it's I think I'm interested by it because I think the easy thing to do is to say really, but then I'm like, but if I was of that generation, or what is it that's so attractive about that
Yeah, it's true.
need for control, um and kind of and validation again. But I agree. Yeah, I know it is weird. But I think, yeah, oh yeah, I have Instagram, but and obviously I do scroll quite a lot sometimes. I try, yeah, to be fair, no, if I'm honest, I'll put the like 15-minute limit, and then it will go off and I'll be like, oh, I'm not done watching this cooking video or whatever.
Yeah. There's a funny reel coming up. If you want to see the end.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Me and my brother always laugh because like we we'll sometimes, like, if we're in person, we'll be like, you're right, yeah, cool, mate. Yeah. How was your day? Yeah, sick, whatever. And then our main form of communication is just sending like really silly memes. And it's like, come on, have a conversation.
Yeah. No, it's interesting because, you can have, like these full-on conversations on, I suppose you could call WhatsApp a kind of social media in
Oh
some
yeah.
ways. I suppose it's just another fancy way of text messaging, really, even though it's owned by Facebook and Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
But yeah, I suppose like you can have these really deep conversations, or like have this connection through memes or something, rather than an actual sort of conversation, like you're saying. And it's like the way we're communicating now is through our screens and through the way that we interact with like someone's way of saying to someone, I really enjoy spending time with you, is sending a cat meme or something, or
Yeah,
a cat
yeah,
video, and it's like,
yeah.
whereas maybe in our parents' day, it'd be like, I really like you. Now it's like, have you seen this
Yeah,
video? I don't know, that's probably a weird example, but I just feel like
I
that's where we're going
know.
with this, isn't it?
I always am like, oh, I would have loved to live in the time where you like had to send letters instead of like waiting for a text back.
Oh God. I mean,
You
it made
know?
things so much more relaxed, wouldn't it? Yeah.
So lovely. Or like I use one of the pigeons that you could like send the letter.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, brilliant. And again, there's another quote again from which one was this one from? From Theatre Weekly. Obviously, we can't really talk again too much about the show because we want people to see it, obviously. And I've got the dates here actually. So yes, for anyone who's interested, the dates are the 31st of July through to the 25th of August. She's not performing on the 12th or the 19th, by the way, at Summer Hall, the Tech Cube Zero. So catch her there. And of course, the play itself. I mean, then there's another quote here. You said it's a love letter to theatre and to life. The wonders and the horrors. It's all just really a gift. Explain.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, I hear that back and I'm like, what a wanker.
Not at all. Not at all. It's true.
Um,
It's true.
but I think what yeah, explain. Good question. Well, I mean, it's a love letter to theatre in the sense that at the heart of the play is the character's desire to break free and to connect and to see people, but also be seen. In fact, there's a really beautiful poem by the US poet laureate Ada Limon, who and it is there's this line in it which says like to be swallowed, to be made whole by not by being a witness, but by being witnessed. And I think it taps into this idea of being witnessed by also the universe and by nature. And, you know, like this idea of like if you're standing looking at a tree, that maybe the tree is witnessing your presence too. And I think there's something quite mystical and beautiful about that idea that theatre can really explore and open us up to this kind of vast ocean of possibility. And, you know, I think as well the kind of how much some things suck and how much some things are beautiful and
Yeah.
how finding, you know, if I was kind of more spiritually advanced, I'd probably say that but I think it's just trying to explore that, you know, and again, that other poem of the Rumi poem, which is like this life, you're the guest house poem. I can't remember the words off the top of my head, but
Yeah.
it's about how every emotion is a visitor to the house that is your body. And
Yeah.
I think it's sort of like I just wanted to you know, I think that theatre that can remind us of like or any art can remind us of the beauty and the pain and therefore the beauty of being alive.
Mm.
And the wonderment, that childlike sense of curiosity, you know, if a child like steps in dog poo, obviously they're not necessarily like going to be squealing with joy, but there's a real curiosity there rather than, you know, when we're an adult and we step in dog poo, we're like, um, so I just think, I don't know why I picked that image, but I think yeah, it's just this invitation to kind of, to let go, I guess.
Yeah. And it's interesting. And just hearing you talk about that, you know, how many times have we heard like that phrase, we can laugh about it now? And, you know, so many things just something happens to us. Like, you know, we're probably like use your example, someone you probably stepped in dog poo and then you threw it. Kids throw
Yeah.
a huge tantrum being like,
Yeah.
oh my God, this is bad. This is absolutely awful. And then like years later go when they're like in their 20s or early 30s and they just go, hey, do you remember that time when you did that? And suddenly it's a moment of joy, isn't it? And some
Exactly. Because
yeah,
I think it's so funny when, well, I mean, look, obviously I can lose my temper and stuff, but like it is really funny when someone else is really angry or like or if like sometimes I'll catch myself and I'll just be like, God, the absurdity of like getting so angry about something or like so annoyed when you could just like look out and then there would be something to be grateful for. Also, I
yeah,
don't know. Yeah. But
yeah.
obviously, yeah. I think if I read that quote, if I was in a really bad mood, I'd be like, oh, it's not a gift. But it normally is in retrospect.
Yeah, yeah, and it's funny because I think there's a few phrases going around about just it's just here, it was there, now it's gone. It's interesting about how stuff that we might find bad now, but actually we look back and think, oh, that was actually a really good moment. Actually, I'm really glad that that happened. And there's a great story from the chef Marco Pierre White.
No.
Okay, he's got like he won like 3 stars in Michelin. He's got like a huge career. He trained Gordon Ramsay actually when he was an apprentice, and he talked about how he did his first ever job, and he knocked on the back doors of the kitchens, and then when he was only 17, and he said this. It's in this interview. He goes to the Oxford Union. I recommend anyone to go and watch it. It's a brilliant interview,
Ah.
and he said, "I knocked on the door, and the truth was, I never wanted that door to open." I never wanted it to open, but it did open. And Trevor, the kitchen porter, opened the door to my new life. And he's been a chef ever since. And he looked back and he says, even though that was scary, that was one of the luckiest moments of my life because it meant I could start a new life and get away from, because he didn't do too well in school. And then suddenly he had a way forward in life. He had a dream, he had a passion, and then he was a chef. And now he still is a chef. But
Wow.
but it's interesting, yeah. It's in these moments, and it's like the universe gives you like stuff, and at first you're going, "What? What?
Yeah.
What do you mean? What? No, you
Yeah.
can't give me this. This is terrible." And then 2 years later, you look back and you're, "Oh, if it
Yeah.
wasn't for that, then yeah, all that
Exactly.
other
And
stuff."
trusting yeah, I think that's really beautiful and trusting the journey of it and the process and
Mm,
kind of the bigger picture. Because when
yeah,
you're up close, it's so hard to um, see a situation or see that your emotions are getting in the way or, see something at
yeah,
all.
yeah. And I feel like, yeah, it's a really great thing you've tapped into. Obviously, it's not just purely about social media, your play, but asks us like, where are we in our lifetimes right now?
Yeah.
These times which we're going through. Obviously, we have no idea what's going to happen next. We know where we've been, but we don't know where we're going. Was that a big part of your writing process as well in this?
Yeah, I think yeah, a huge part. I think, or two things there, but I think it as well, it's sort of like this. I love what you've said though. We know where we've been, but we don't know where we're going. And it is true that the only thing that we have is the present moment, and
Yeah.
that being sacred and kind of I think that the character is always in this intense momentum towards the future and away from the past. And then you never experience the present.
Mm,
That's really rubbish because then when I think sometimes it's like when that is going to end, say a chapter in your life, you're then like, oh my God, but I'm not even sure if I was there, like
mm,
present for that. And yeah, I think that's and also yeah,
yeah. It's very much in the now, your piece as well, because I think it's reminding us where we are right now. And
Mhm.
again, our mind goes, yeah, but when it wasn't like this, oh God, what's it going to be like next? You're
Exactly.
now, we are
Yeah,
here
you're here.
right
Yeah,
now. Let's enjoy
exactly.
it while we can.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, you're so right. Yeah, because I think sort of especially towards the end, it really is about that of like,
Mm,
is enough, maybe
yeah.
being here now.
Yeah.
All the stuff of like that you can accumulate to fill the God-shaped hole, that's not gonna do anything.
Yeah.
Like it will. I think uh there's like I heard the thing that like that you can get all the things that you dreamed of, but ultimately within 3 months you will return to your base level of satisfaction unless you are willing to let go of needing those things and to just see that already you have it all.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think,
I think there's,
that's
yeah.
we're saying that as people in a country that's not at war or like,
Mm.
very privileged and yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But like I'm just saying, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, just as another story very quickly, I think I heard this from um, Jimmy Carr actually. He was talking about these two very famous men. I can't remember the names, but they're at a party in the Hamptons in America. So, brilliant house, amazing party.
Yeah.
And this guy's house, he's got all these pictures up on the wall. He's got all this stuff everywhere, all this designer stuff. And he goes, "Yeah, it's a great party, isn't it?" I said, "Yeah, it really is. Yeah, but you know what the difference is between me and the guy running the party? Do you know what I've got, but he'll never have? And what's that? Enough."
Mhm.
And I thought, wow, that's pretty good. Yeah. But these are big questions that you open up in your play, by the way. This is all anchored in your work and everything. And, people, you did the play is called The Center of the Universe, but then people walk away with different things from it. That people go social media or like being in the present or enjoying what we are now. It's like where we're going forward. So it's a really, really fantastic area which you've
Thank you.
delved into, and I really do encourage people to go and see it. I just got a few more questions about actually writing in general.
Yeah.
Like, so how much time have we got? Yeah, we got time. So, So yeah, writing. I know you said right at the beginning of this you never saw yourself to be a writer, but now six one woman plays under your belt, and I'm sure probably more to come. You know, the short film that you also mentioned as well. Yeah, how did it all come about?
Well, I think so. I wrote a lot of mainly screen. I'm dyslexic, and that's the reason that I'd sort of had this self-belief that I can't write.
Okay.
But my best friend, who is just like an incredible woman, um, she's a very talented writer and a teacher, and she's just wonderful.
Yeah.
And she had we sort of started this kind of creative partnership when we were 18 or something, or nine, yeah. And we would send we would send each other short stories or things we'd written, and she sent me her first play, and I was gonna, yeah. And I then sent her my first feature film. And I think if it wasn't for her kindness and also my parents, very supportive, and I think but yeah, she really was like, we would give each other sort of notes or like spend hours kind of getting into like the meat of like, whoa, wow, okay, well, that's interesting. Where did you get that idea? Blah, blah, blah. And what if this could happen? And she, yeah, I think if it wasn't for her, I don't know if I would have carried on. But yeah, I did, and I wrote a lot of shit. And
We all do at the beginning, don't worry.
yeah. Oh, well, I still do, but like I feel like if you're not willing to write stuff that is a bit crap, or even take a risk in writing something that's a bit crap, then maybe the gold won't come about. But yeah, and then I sort of wrote and have created a few short films on my own, but then also with teams, and have just wrapped one last year that's kind of in the festival circuit at the moment, and then in pre-production for another, with a really incredible team that I feel very lucky to be working with. And I think, yeah, last year, and I really enjoy writing for screen and for TV, film. And I also obviously love writing for theatre. And I've put on quite a few pub theatre shows. But I'm really excited for this now. It feels sort of, yeah, a real growth in that journey. And I have a really wonderful and generous and special writing agent who reads my work and is very supportive. And yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. I suppose when you're writing, again, sort of like Centre of the Universe or any kind of one woman show, obviously you've got two brains sort of going off at the same time, your actor brain and your writer brain.
Yeah.
So how do those two sort of feed or help each other, like particularly like something like Centre of the Universe?
Yeah, because we were still, the play is always evolving. In rehearsals, there were bits where, you could sense rhythmically, or the director, Sophie, who is one of a kind, incredible person, incredible director. And she would say, like, okay, what do you think about this bit? And through her questioning and sort of, and also the assistant director, who's also been on board from the very beginning, reading the script and giving notes, Maddie London, she's also incredible and has like a real live comedy. And I think so, sort of getting their opinions, and so that was always, something I think. The script is always changing because it's a living organism.
Of course.
For theatre, I think you can I mean, obviously for screen too, but then there's a point and obviously for theatre too, there's a point that you have to then.
Yeah, it's like enough now. We have to go forward with this now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think I quite like writing something where I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do that. Like, so in Centre of the Universe, there's a scene where she sort of makes love with her anger, and I was like, when I wrote that in, I was like, I have no idea how that's going to work. But I think that I'm excited by things that I don't know how to do, otherwise why would I do it?
Yeah, exactly. It's so interesting because you think about, I think I've heard someone talk about that before, like you write something in and you go, I'm not sure how I'm going to do that, but there's something about it which makes me want to put it down, and let's try.
Yeah.
Let's try. Let's see what happens. And of course, on that occasion, it worked. You managed to get something. So when you saw it happen and you saw it there, like able to do it and rehearse it and then perform it, were you kind of like, I have no idea what this was going to look like? But yeah, was it sort of like an idea of what you wanted in your imagination, or is it something
Well,
you're like,
I think because the director and designer and lighting designer, Tallulah Kasky is the designer, and she is incredible.
hmm,
And her idea, so I never had the idea for the set that she had, but weirdly, in my mind and in my dream mind, I'd always been like, oh, I would love there to be certain elements that then somehow, without even talking, she then, when she presented what her vision for it, I was like, God, it's like, I think this is the spooky and weird, beautiful thing when you end up working with and collaborating with your team. You're like, it's almost like they will say things that it's like, were you in my mind? And like, I don't know. Yeah. So I think that bringing, collaborating with other people has transformed it to something that I'm like, just, is so exciting to me. And also because they're just all so talented that I'm just in awe of what they offer. Um, yeah. But it's, it's as the actor and writer though, and kind of, it is about, I am trying to detach from the kind of, it's hard, but from the, like when I come off, I just need to ground I don't know. Yeah. I'm trying to detach from that
yeah,
thinking too much.
yeah. It's like you sense the universe. You think about it too much, your head will explode, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, okay, now we get back to the present. We get back to where we are
Exactly.
right now.
Body. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. So I suppose, like I said, the Edinburgh Fringe tour is coming up, and now with some previews under your belt, how are you feeling about the show going forward?
I feel, I feel really like I want to step into the joy of it,
Hmm.
and the experience of it. And, obviously I am a bit nervous, but
Of
like
course,
yeah, I think,
you'll be fine. Don't worry.
yeah, I think, yeah, I want to enjoy it. And I've worked really hard and,
Of course.
with a really spectacular team. And I just hope that we can share it with some lovely audiences. And I feel, like it was really great to do the previews, and I learned a lot about the stamina of the show. Um, so I think I'm sort of like, I'm really honestly really looking forward to being kind of in monk mode in the day, and then going to perform, and then just kind of, you know looking after my instrument until the show. But yeah.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Well, people of Edinburgh, if you're listening, get your tickets now and check out Gaia's show. Just got a few more things now for you, Gaia. I know we're a bit pushed for time, so you've got to get on to other things. But yeah, so I suppose really without, again, I don't think this is a spoiler question now. Now we should be okay. So, having been with this show for so long and recent previews this past weekend, what would you like your audiences to feel when they walk out of the theatre?
Mm. I think, yeah, I think that's an interesting question because it's not, I can't control what they'll feel.
Hmm.
Uh, and I can't, I can hope that audiences will feel seen or less alone, and maybe have further questions, just feel a bit more open, maybe, um, a bit lighter. But yeah, it's not in my control, and so I can only hope that. But yeah, I'm really excited to have to share it with people.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, again, like I say, it's a fantastic show, and people definitely should go and get their tickets now. So we've got the final two questions for you guys today. So first of all, Actually, no, first of all, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. Because I know you've been off filming and stuff this morning, so it's really nice of you to join me in your evening time and everything. But I'll let you go in just a second so you can get on with your evening wind down after a long day on set. But first question for the last two finishing questions. First of all, is what would you say was a bit of advice you wish you heard at the start of your career?
Oh my God, I've literally been waiting my whole career for someone to ask me this. I feel like I've listened to so many interviews where people have been asked this. Okay, wait. Now I've got to give a really good answer. I feel like
Don't put pressure on yourself. Take your time.
so the advice that I wish that people had given me at the start of my career,
Like you specifically.
me specifically.
Yeah.
Relax, it's gonna be okay, or it's gonna work out better than you can imagine.
Yeah. Easy.
Just
Just
chill.
chill. It's gonna be fine.
Well, not chill, but don't chill. But yeah, it's gonna be trust the journey.
Trust the journey. Amen
Yeah.
to that. And finally today,
Oh,
what
and actually, sorry, I'm gonna add.
yeah,
Don't
go.
just hold things a little more lightly. It's okay. Yeah, I guess that's part of it. But I think just
Yeah.
you don't need to flip out if it's not perfect. When like I feel like say in an acting class or something, it's all part of the journey. It's all yeah.
It's
That's
all it's all part of it. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. The universe is on your side.
Exactly.
Always. Always. And finally today, what would you say has been an experience or experiences you've had in your career up to now that you'll never ever forget?
In my career. Oh, that's interesting. Um, I feel like watching people perform, like I feel like I've seen some performances that have just been incredibly inspiring, and that continues to shape me as an artist on a daily basis. But then I think if I were to pick one experience, I'd say that this has been the journey of creating Center of the Universe, and as well working with Trish Wadley, who's been incredible. And yeah, it has been I've learned so much, and feel like as a person, but also as like what it means to create your own work and to let go a bit. And I think so this has been huge. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I would say that this is the biggest experience. Yeah.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Yeah. Again, I've spoken about this show like quite a few times today, but it really
Oh,
is just yeah. Congratulations again. It's a really really great show,
thank
and
you.
I look forward to the West End run one day.
Yeah, me too. Can't wait to use my boxing partner again.
Yeah, no, I'd be absolutely love to. I love to.
Yeah, you've got to sit in that seat every time.
No, I'll be there, mate. I'll be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I nearly
Well,
put the gloves on, didn't I? And I was just like, I've got to wait.
yeah, yeah,
And you looked at me and went, glove me. I was like, oh, sorry, mate.
yeah,
I put the
yeah.
gloves on you that time. No, I'd be more than happy to do that every single night
Oh,
and afternoon. So you need a matinee as well.
yeah,
But
exactly.
oh, brilliant, Gaia. This has been absolutely great. Thank you so much
Oh,
for your
thank
time.
you so much. Thank you for all your lovely questions and listening. And yeah, amazing.
Yeah. No, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'd love to have you back on in the future. I'd love to hear about the success of the show and whatever else you get up to in your career next. And yeah, here's to next time. But in the meantime, if you just hang on, I'll finish the recording and I'll say goodbye to you one to one. In the meantime, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening. This has been the Uncensored Critic podcast, and I'll be back very, very soon. And yeah, Gaia, you're amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're amazing. Thank you.